I'm asking for two.
Okay, I'm gonna start again. Teaching and Learning, September 12th, 2017. President Mark Johnson, Evelyn Gleason. Guests, Leslie Jones, Christine Ressler, Greg Strider, Kara Bucci, Sandy Lessentine, Matt Mansky, Eric Royer. Presentation on Math 1.
So thank you so much for letting us come here tonight. I'm going to turn it over, since we have a short time, directly to the awesome teachers that we have facilitating this. So Matt Mansky.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about kind of our path and where we're at now, how we started. So as we kind of looked at our curriculum, I think the teachers in our department felt a need to reevaluate our curriculum and improve it to help our students and give them a better opportunity to be successful. As we looked at the curriculum as it was, we felt it didn't line up to the Common Core standards and the 8 mathematical practices that are what we need to be teaching our students right now. And so we took a look at several different curriculum options, and really it came down to a debate between a traditional curriculum and an integrated curriculum. And after looking at the options that were available and looking at the research and talking to other schools who have done one or the other, it was our opinion that we thought that the integrated curriculum would be better for our students. We think that moving forward, our students need to become critical thinkers. They need to be able to read and evaluate and apply and become problem solvers. And we felt that the integrated curriculum was the best way for us to be able to get our students to do this. And it wasn't an easy sell. There was a lot of talk, a lot of debate. There was a lot of, opinions in either direction. But as a department, we voted. It wasn't a haphazard decision. We got together in groups. We voted. We had discussions. We did research. We took field trips to other schools who were doing the integrated curriculum, schools in our area, and listened to their successes and their, the issues that they've had, some of the problems that they've run into. And as a department, we voted, and the vote was that we would go in the integrated direction. Once we made this decision, we looked into some resources, and we settled on the Walsh series, which is a curriculum used by several other schools in the area. And we felt strongly about this curriculum because we felt like it was the best curriculum that we could bring to the classroom. It was the strongest curriculum, so it would allow us to spend our time on teaching and learning with the students. It was a strong curriculum that we would be able to roll out and use, and we could focus on what we needed to do to help the students be more successful in terms of problem-solving skills, in terms of critical thinking, and in terms of just kind of moving forward, reading, things that are going to be important to them as lifelong learners, and in the short term, things like the SAT and some of the other short-term important things that will be going on for them. That's kind of where we started, and that's kind of how we got it going.
Hi, I'm Kara Bucci. I'm a math teacher at Hillcrest. I just want to run through what we talked, or the work that we did this past school year and over the summer. We started by going through the Walsh materials. Walsh is the group that we decided to purchase our textbooks from. We were working in groups of 8 to 10 people. We had math teachers from all buildings and then special ed teachers as well. Sit down and start walking through the different units in the Walsh textbook. Try to wrap our mind around it. We had to do a lot of professional development training on things like just reading and note-taking in a math classroom, because this curriculum is a lot more reading heavy than what we're used to. We also had a lot of conversations about how this is going to change the approach that we take in our classroom. What we're noticing is that a lot of the problems in the curriculum are a lot more critical thinking, a lot more, hey, you did it this way, how did you do this problem? So it's going to be a lot less drill and kill necessarily in a classroom and more conversation. So that was something we had to wrap our mind around about how to approach in a classroom. And then we spent time this summer building the curriculum even more thoroughly, getting different activities planned. I think we went as far as a day-to-day schedule with some of the units we're taking a look at. But it's just been very important for us to have this time to collaborate, because it's going to be very important that we are working basically as a group to take care of it, because it is so different. So we don't want to fall into some of the old habits and just start doing the same things we've always been doing. So we want to have this time to really prepare things that any teacher can use, whether they're part of the curriculum development or not, so that we make this transition pretty smoothly.
I'm Eric Royer. I teach math at Tinley Park, and I'm just going to talk about the summer and pretty much how valuable the time that it was this summer to have together. It meant a lot to us to be able to talk to each other and kind of build on each other with everyone's perspectives on this. A couple things that we wanted to make sure we had, the progress that we made a placement test. We used a lot of what Walsh had, but we're hopefully to use this. It's not a normal placement test that just tests math skills. It tests a lot of problem solving. So all different types of students will be able to hopefully get put where they're supposed to be placed. And that's one of the biggest issues we've had in the past, is proper placement. So even though a kid might not be great at their math skills, you could see a lot of good things from them, from their problem solving skills. So even though they might have deficits in some area, they might excel in others. And this test is designed to show both of that. Another thing that we put together was a lot of different ways you're going to see a classroom. Like, you won't see rows in a classroom anymore. You're going to see a lot of collaborative learning, people working together, coming up with ideas to solve something that isn't explained thoroughly through the teacher, but they almost come up with the way themselves. And it's a lot of learning with each other. The other thing that we definitely talked about was just how would a new teacher be put into this situation? How would we benefit them? Well, we realize that every teacher is different. So like Kara said, we actually made a timeline for one of our units that is literally day by day. And it's an interactive timeline that we're going to do with all the units, where if a teacher had to, they can go to that day's lesson, see resources we have, see the lesson that we would teach. They can see assessments that they can use. They can see additional help if they see kids that need more help. And all this stuff is just a click away. This Walsh series has given us a lot of information, and we've taken advantage of it over the summer, and we've used it. So we've done it just for one unit, but our goal is, as long as we have the time to do it, we're going to do it for all of them. So even a new teacher, if they walked in, they'd be okay. And we just really appreciate the time, and hopefully we can continue to work together.
And so that kind of leads us to where we're at right now in this school year. So at this point, we still need to kind of finish up our assessments. We need to continue to work on our Type 2 and our CRT assessments. We've already created a model unit for Unit 3 for all the teachers to kind of take a look at and give them an idea of how this is going to look. We'd like to do that with Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 4, 5, and 6. There's 6 units in the Math 1 curriculum. So as far as this year goes, that would be our goal, so that when we roll this thing out next year, we're going to have our assessments ready to go, and we're going to have model units for teachers to use in the way that they feel is best for them and their students. So it's not like it's not a situation where everybody excuse me, has to follow it exactly, but we're giving a framework to the teachers so that all teachers and all students in every building are going to get the same education in terms of their math classes. And then lastly, this year, with the rest of this school year and the time that we need to kind of continue to work towards what we're going to do with our extended classes and how we're going to work through some of the issues that we have in our honors class, as far as making sure that our students will always be able to get to that end goal of calculus where they're at now. And so there's some things that we need to discuss and make sure that we have a plan moving forward to make sure that those students can get where they need to be, and some of our students that are in extended classes get the best use out of their time. So those are just some of the things that we have to iron out with the rest of this year.
And then after this year, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Second in front of you. Go ahead.
So I'm very grateful for the time. My name is Greg Strider, by the way. I teach here at Brennan, and I'm very grateful for the time that was allotted us, because perhaps differently from the other three, I was a little bit more of one of the tougher sells on this.
A little does not mean a little in his vocabulary. A lot. Come on.
So what we got to do is we got to go visit some other schools, and we got the time in the summer. We got the time during our school year last year to look at this. And I think one of the things we're really going to stick to is I went to Downers Grove South, and we were advised to really, the first year, stick to the book, stick to the plan. So one of the things that we're going to do going forward, and my point to that going forward is next summer, what we're going to do is we're going to start working on Math 2, okay, Integrated 2, and then we're going to do all the same things. We're going to look at all the questions. I bet you as a group we went through every single question that was asked to us in the Integrated Math 1 curriculum, all of them, between the worksheets, between the examples, and everything. We did them all. We'll probably do the same thing. We wrote the UBDs, all those. So we matched up the units. Understanding by Design is what it stands for. But what it does is it match. So like Matt said, there are 6 units in the book. Each unit has a different number of lessons, okay? And I believe there were 29 lessons. And then each lesson had sub-lessons. And what it does is it matches up the state standard to the sub-lesson. We talked about what essential questions there were going to be, what was our goal for each section. So we have all that, so that's just another resource for the teachers. We wrote down what mathematical practices are really hit in each unit, all the way down to those sub lessons. So we have that for the teachers, and we're just going to do that for this summer. We'll do that for Math 2. The following summer we'll do that for Math 3. So we're just what we do now just becomes cyclical, I think, in nature. We're going to continue to do the same things, while. Like I said, while our first year doing Integrated Math 1, we're just going to kind of keep it close to what they suggested to do. But going forward, then we'll be able to reevaluate. We'll be able to have better conversations because we'll all have a frame of reference where we all did the same activities. What went well, what didn't, then we can start modifying things.
So then for moving into next school year, so next school year will be the first year that we roll out Math 1 where students are actually in the Math 1 class. And then our plan as a department during that school year, as Greg was saying, was to do some of this work with the Math 2 curriculum, which will carry over from the summer as well, finish the assessments, make decisions about honors classes, things like that. And then also prepping for Math 3. So there's quite a bit to do next school year because we'll be rolling it out, we'll be preparing Math 2, and then we'll have to look forward to Math 3 as well.
Just to continue with that, like Greg said, it's going to be cyclical. And every year the goal is to get together with the other people that taught it and to hopefully make just small adjustments to what's going on. In addition to that, it's again to just build the next one forward. So we're always going to be able to work with our colleagues, which isn't always the case, and that's where this time comes in, especially over the summer. Just make sure that we're able to hit everything and just adjust what we do every summer.
So that's kind of our plan. That's kind of where we're at. I think universally the people that were involved in the discussions, I'll tell you personally, I've been teaching in the district for 16 or 17 years. I lost track in there, give or take a year, but it was the best use of professional development time that I've ever had, as far as the conversations that we had and the debates that we had, the healthy debates, and everybody was advocating for their students and trying to find what was going to be best for the entire district. I think it was really important. It was really important and eye-opening to many of us. And so, we know there's going to be some bumps along the way. Anytime you do something new, there's going to be issues that we run into. But I think we have a good plan moving forward, and I think we have a vision that we've laid out over the course of several years. And I think as we continue to work through it, we'll get through those issues we have. But I think what's really going to benefit is our students. Our students are going to be able to show that they can think mathematically in many different ways. And so I think some students that maybe right now get overlooked in a math classroom, overwhelmed in a math classroom, are going to be able to show some things that they can do that right now, the way things are structured with a traditional curriculum, maybe they don't always get to shine through with those things. And so I think there's going to be a positive influence on student success with what we're trying to do. And obviously that's the reason we're doing it. If we didn't think that was the case, we wouldn't be doing all this work to try to, make these adjustments. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer any questions.
Can I
Feel
have
free.
one thing before you ask a question? The other districts that we first of all looked at were Downers Grove, Lockport, Lamont, and I'm missing one. District 2, we didn't look at District 230, but District 230 went integrated last year, was their first year, so they're in their second year. We are going integrated, and then District 218 is following in our footsteps, so I've been working with Janine. She's kind of been looking at our layout, how did we roll things out, because they're going next. So one of the nice things with that is I know there's concerns with feeder schools, and all of the feeder schools will basically be feeding into high schools that are going to have integrated math at that point. So that helps out as well, which is so important for us, and we are so grateful for the time you've allotted us to stay a year ahead, because that's what we're hoping to do, is stay a full year ahead so that we can find gaps and fill those in prior to. So go right ahead.
Yeah, you actually addressed one of them already about the feeder schools, but one of the questions I have is, when you were speaking with the other schools or visiting those schools, what were some of the challenges that you identified that you saw at other districts?
One of the things that came forward was parents questioning what we were doing, why we were changing, why they were changing. That was one issue. And that definitely came forward. And the way that was, the supervisor at Lamont said she had to be very strong-willed, and she had to be very upfront with people and let them know that we're making this change because we think it's in the best interest of the students. You're always going to have issues with, whenever you make the change, just things that you don't anticipate, like, I'm trying to think of good examples of some of the issues that came up.
You mean overall in there?
Yeah, it's what were some of the things that came up?
So for example, go ahead. No,
One of the, I don't know if this is what you're trying to get to or not, but one of the things I heard a lot from teachers is not all the districts had enough professional development time to really get things prepared, and so teachers were very overwhelmed and kind of almost preparing for maybe the next week, the week before, as opposed to having something really laid out. So we heard from a lot of teachers that they were overwhelmed the first year because they just didn't have the resources, and that's why we've been trying to stay ahead of this and have our teachers prepared, because if they're not, then we're all going to end up kind of doing our own thing. So we're trying, because we heard that feedback, we're trying to get ahead of it more so than they were able to.
I think one of the most productive things we did this summer was take that Unit 3 and come up with lesson plans for it. So we all have a good idea. We all have a idea. We did a lot of productive things, but that was concrete, that you could just take, and if you had to, you could go teach tomorrow.
Okay.
I really like that to combat that. Now then, everybody can make their adjustments as they fall free, but everybody had something to start with.
How do the units intermix the subject matters of algebra, geometry, and is it
Very
in
much
every
like-
unit or
Very
this
much
unit
like
is the only-
everyday math. Have you ever heard of it? That's a curriculum where things spiral quite a bit.
Okay.
So as I was writing down the units and writing down the state standards that each unit hit, I noticed everything was very cyclical. You're always coming back. You're always
So it's not
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
unit is just algebra and that one's
Yeah.
just geometry.
Right.
Oh, that's
Right.
good.
Yeah.
So really
Whereas-
integrated.
Whereas, and you start learning that you clearly see that the prerequisite for the next one is the essential question for the prior one, and things spiral very much, and that's the integrated term
Yeah.
there too. I think that's where things get brought together.
And you said there's a lot of reading in this, so in your pre-test, you're evaluating their math skills. How much impact do you think their reading skills are going to have?
I mean, we had a lot of discussions about strategies for technical reading in the math classroom, and how are we going to teach this skill that we truthfully don't
That's
do
what
a
the
very
test
good
is,
job
though,
of
right?
teaching right now. And when you look at the SAT now,
Yeah.
it's in that direction. And when a kid goes into the workplace and they have to read and apply, I think we're falling a little bit short in that category where we're at right now, to be totally honest.
I really think
I can
that
tell you that. I was a park director, and I can't tell you how many employees I had who cannot solve just a
Reading
basic,
problems.
not just a
I
just
think
a
it's gonna be-
problem. They don't know how
Right.
to attack a problem.
It's going to be incumbent on that Math 1 teacher to have two roles. Not only are they teaching math, but they're also teaching how to the integrated math
And
curriculum and how
analyze
to
and
approach
whatever.
that too. They're
Yeah.
going to have two jobs there.
And
Okay.
I think I was probably the hardest sell on that part of it because reading was always my weakest subject as a student, and I'm strong at math. But what actually helped is hearing from our teachers in our feeder schools is realizing that what we're covering in Math 1 skill-wise is the same skills that they cover. So as opposed to just review what they do, this is actually an application of what they do. So that seemed to help me a little bit because the math shouldn't technically be new, it should be the application of that math in a word problem.
That's a great example. I was going to say, they do integrated math in middle school. They do geometries
Yes, they do.
each year. They do statistics. They do algebra. They don't call it integrated math. And one of the challenges the school said was, don't call it integrated. Whatever you do, parents hate integrated. Just use Math 1, Math 2. So that was the first thing. And the second thing was, I am such a huge advocate of literacy in the math classroom. I have received training for that, so I'm hoping that our math teachers, we can get literacy focused kind of math trainers in every building to help each other. We have all the expertise we need to do this. We just need the time to bring them together to allow them to train each other.
So they'll act as a coach, kind of like a math
Correct.
coach.
Absolutely.
Because I know in the middle schools and the feeder schools, their concern was, I know some of them are doing Singapore math and some of them are doing math, Engage New York math.
Yeah.
And so how does this transition from those models to the Welsh model?
Do any of you want to take it, or do you want me to take this one?
I don't know enough about those models, so, you know, but I think that what we can do, what we're going to do with the Welsh model is we're going to lay a foundation for all of our students in Math 1. And we're going to teach them the skills, both mathematically and problem-solving wise, that they're going to need to be successful. I think we'll be able to take them from wherever they're at mathematically, where, you know, whatever level they come at. I think we have an appropriate place to put them and to get them where they need to be at the end of their mathematical road, if you will. You know.
And if you go back to what Kara said, to me, honestly, it doesn't matter to me what middle school uses what product because they're learning those skills. We're going to apply the skills that they've learned in middle school. However they choose to do that, we're going to meet them where they're at. We're going to welcome them there, and we're going to get them excited about math and teach them the problem solving and the critical thinking we feel is so important along with those skills. So really, to me anyway, it doesn't matter what series any of the middle schools use because we're going to meet them where they're at. We just want to be able to evaluate the honors students. So one of the things that we are doing is having all students start at integrated math 1. There will be no we jump past 1 and we go to 2. We need to train our students the way that we need to train them for this new, I don't want to say new way of math because it's really not a new way of math, but it kind of is.
New way of
Yeah,
teaching
it's a
and
new way
learning.
of thinking, yes.
about
So
it.
we don't want no offense, we don't want someone else teaching integrated math 1 because we want to teach more than just math like the teachers have said. We want to make it an experience for them so that when they go on to 2, we will advance them and they can get to calculus, but we're going to look at that at the end of math 1 into 2 and 3, and we'll make their advancements at the sophomore junior level when they're more apt to say, I truly am going into engineering, I need calculus, rather than every 8th grader that says, yes, I'm going to calculus, I'm going to be an engineer. Maybe we can get them closer to where they need to be also, so we can get them into those math classes their senior year, some elective classes that will really do them good for where they're moving towards.
So what is the placement then? You said you're doing
The
math
placement will
placement.
be we'll still have an honors, we'll still have an advanced
Okay.
track, and I'm going to call it a college and career readiness course, and then we'll have that group that will be struggling that we need additional support for.
And all
that's
that at
extended.
the math 1 level or?
Yes,
Oh,
that's all.
okay.
So when Matt talked about putting together these additional units, we need those for college and career readiness level, for the honors level, and for the prep level.
Okay, so there's a level within the
Math 1, there are
because when you
3
say
levels.
math 1, a lot of parents and a lot of students, they're already skeptical, and even
Correct.
I've heard it from different districts saying they're already skeptical about it. You're calling it integrated math,
Yeah.
which is the big,
Right.
I
I know.
And then I'm like, it's just basically what they're doing in middle school. Okay, so and also they were already concerned about that, and then I've heard from parents that, okay, they're throwing something else math in.
Well, I was
And
just
then
thinking
trying
about that
something-
parent that's like, don't hold my kid back.
Right,
Putting
that's
them
what I'm
in
saying.
math one, yeah.
You're putting me in math 1, and my
Yeah.
child is here. You're going to hinder my child from their growth, or you're going to put them at 1 when they should be at 2, which is not the case. It's just calling them, this is the first stage of math, but you have college and career readiness is at the top level of level 1.
Yes.
And then you're still honoring the honor students.
Correct.
And
Absolutely.
where they are in their stage.
Mhm.
And you're showing them how to think critically, maybe on the college level, like AP math or whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
We can still get them to calculus BC.
Okay.
That is not a problem, and that's what parents say. What we find is most parents want to have that honor of their child is in honors geometry, not honors algebra 1, right? As a freshman, that's going to be tough for some parents. That was one of the challenges that every school said. Your parents are going to scream and yell, and my kid's a math 2 student. They're much smarter than math 1. Until they see what we're doing, I don't think they're going to understand either. We're going to do the best we can to educate them and answer all their questions so that they can see, oh, we're definitely going to advance their child all the way to Calc BC if that's what they so choose.
Now, as
Is
far
there-
as the college requirements, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
As far as like the college requirements, and I probably should know this, and I just sent one away, but are they just asking for 4 years of math? There really is no specific type of math that they have to take, or is there in fact a specific type of math? And if so, then how does integrated math?
The state of Illinois honors both tracks, and so does all colleges across the country. There are integrated tracks, there are traditional tracks. It really doesn't matter which one it is. I think most colleges suggest 3 years, and a 4th year is even better to, kind of secure for
But they're
that
not
child.
specific as far
But
as
it's
it has to
not,
be this type.
it'll,
Okay.
it will be all of the same content as that traditional algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2. We're just rearranging it so that you get a little bit each year. So
Okay.
your linear algebra, your geometry, and your statistics year 1. Your quadratic algebra, your geometry and statistics in year 2, and then your logarithmic and
Just so you won't forget.
correct.
I mean,
It's
by the
all
time
gonna
you get
tie
to
together.
to your
Yes.
senior year, a lot of students, what happened was they forgotten already what they learned in algebra 1, 2, and so by integrating all this, it's just like he was saying, using the
Cyclical.
there you go. Cyclical fit all the way to their senior year, and
Yes.
they will have the tools that they need by the time they get to college.
Because right now what we do, I teach regular and honors algebra 1 here at Bremen. So they leave me and then they go to geometry and then they get to the honors algebra 2 class and then they have forgotten all of it. It's been 18 months since they've seen it. Where now, like I said, this integrated math 1 is 6 units. Unit 5 is the geometry, it's constructions, and then a lot of the geometry concepts they'll hit at the start, of the 4th quarter. That's when they'll basically have their geometry. But there's area, there's volume, that's hit throughout. It's just in the like we've been talking about, it's in the context of a word problem.
Could we help the parents out by labeling like 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3, and give like a synopsis of each one? Would that be something that we could consider?
For you mean the prep
For
level,
information?
the
Right.
college and career readiness, and the honors level? Oh, absolutely. That's not a problem.
Can you show like a page of the book or an activity or something on Power School? Or, I mean, I don't think, just talking about it,
You need to
I'm
see
kind
it.
of going through this.
Yeah.
My granddaughter is in 2nd grade, and they went to a new system called Eureka Math, and they're teaching her multiplication, but her mother's very concerned she doesn't know the facts. How can they have her doing these multiplications when she doesn't know the facts? But it's really, they're teaching her the theory of multiplication.
yes,
So,
concept.
and I support that because they might know their facts, they don't know what it means. So, but it's,
Yeah, we're going to be working on the whole parent communication piece.
Yeah.
'Cause that's, as we're coming up to 8th grade orientation and course
Right.
selection, we need
and I
to.
think that seeing is believing
Yes.
in a lot of
Right.
cases.
Yes.
Just
Yes. And
show
I'm
me.
willing to get the communication out any way we can, any way we have to, so that's not a problem at all. There's going to be questions, and that's okay. I stand strong in
yeah.
my belief that we're going in the right direction for our students.
As far as time, we have another committee
Yes.
meeting, a whole meeting. So I would like to adjourn this meeting. There's no announcements. We adjourn the meeting at 7:03.